Welcome back to the Quiet On Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan, and as always, I'm joined by the man who hunts what's hunting him, Lachlan and Ewan.
Yes, I'm a savage, apparently. On today's episode, Trailer Talk Wednesday, the Addams Family spin-off series coming from the mind of Tim Burton. We got the first actual trailer, and we're going to be discussing it. Other than that, we've also got the trailer for the greatest beer run ever, and the newest A24 film, God's Country.
And I got some quick thoughts on the finale of Better Call Saul and the She-Hulk premiere. And Lachlan and I both rewatched, or for me, watched for the first time, the entire Predator franchise.
Finally, we have our discussions and thoughts on the latest Predator entry, Prey. Ewan, shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's cue up the intro and get into the show.
We are
Obviously,
professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Hello there.
Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. Just in general,
Thank you.
how are you feeling today?
Me? I
Yeah.
am coming off a little bit of a sickness. It's not the
Right.
It's not the Rona. Don't worry, it's not the Rona. I'm yet to catch the Rona, funnily enough.
It's like a Pokemon Go regional exclusive or
It's
whatever.
basically, yeah. Which sucks because funnily enough, when I'm sick, I can't really watch movies because I like to
Mm.
obviously focus and watch the film. And when I'm a bit crook, I'll usually just chuck on a podcast or like an audio video essay or something on YouTube and just
Mhm.
let that play and listen to that because I can't watch something and process it. So obviously we've been watching all of the Predator movies, so
Yeah.
I'll get back to this a little bit later when I watched a particular Predator movie whilst I was sick because I
Okay.
didn't really want to watch it because I
Yeah.
don't really like it that much. But not enough spoilers.
Probably
and all
no.
that
Yes,
stuff, so.
we'll get a bit more into that. A bit of a tease, I guess, for why it wasn't all just for the preparation of Prey this week, but we also are doing another video where we do a bracket, a tournament of sorts to crown the best Predator movie. Yeah, basically review the whole franchise in that process. But if you want to skip around to anything specific that interests you, there's time codes as always linked below. And without further ado, Lachlan, I think let's head straight into the news. And we'll kick off the news section this week with the quick news segment. So we got a couple of headlines incoming. First up, One Punch Man just got its third season announced. Then HBO is removing a bunch of its original content to save a bunch of money and not pay out residuals. And then lastly, Saw 10 is coming to theaters in Halloween 2023. So Lachlan, any thoughts on those quick news?
I didn't realize there was a second season of One Punch Man.
Really? As
yeah,
someone who
which is
likes
funny
the
'cause, I mean,
series, you didn't know that?
I enjoyed One Punch Man season 1 and I was waiting
Yeah.
for a season 2, but I guess I never got around to trying to find out if there was a season 2. I watched it ages ago. HBO removing originals is a bit of a dick move on not paying people on that. So other than that, and I can swear that I've already seen the last Jigsaw movie. I swear there was one that was called The Final Jigsaw, like the final chapter or whatever.
Yeah, one was called Jigsaw and then one was called Spiral. I think was this Saw chapter?
So
No, the final chapter was in 2010.
like, is this Saw X?
We got a returning director with Kevin Groternt. I butchered his name probably, but he was an editor on like the first 5 installments of the series.
Right.
And he also directed Saw 5
You can't let it
and
go.
Saw, I guess, 6, the final chapter, which was the final chapter until there was Saw 3D. And then after Saw 3D, I think we got Jigsaw. And then we got Spiral. And then we're getting Saw 10, I guess. But yeah, more of that. I don't know why they kind of stopped. I guess Paranormal Activity kind of became the easy, low-budget horror standard each Halloween. But maybe we're ramping up to get a new generation of Saw.
Pigs' heads cost a lot of money.
Pig heads do cost a lot of money, yeah. Anyways, that's it for the news items this week.
Light
Again,
on
quick
news
news
this week.
Yes.
Quick news.
Let's head over to the trailers. And as always, there's a couple of shoutouts for trailers that we recommend you go check out, but we won't discuss them any further. And first up is the Sundance premiering Call Jane that's coming out in October 28th. I caught it at Sundance and I can recommend it. Takes a look at the story of, well, the whole process of not legalizing abortion, but I guess that whole thing. I guess in a bad way, it's also become a bit more relevant with Roe v. Wade again. But that's a good movie that's coming out October 28th. And then we got Speak No Evil, a Shudder release on September 9th. And apparently this one is quite crazy and is very haunting, very brutal. I've heard very split things on it so far for people who couldn't handle what you had to stomach for that one. Cobra Kai, season 5. Lachlan, have you been watching Cobra Kai? No. Well, there's a 5th season of it. So
wow.
You might as well get into it now.
Amazed.
It just looks a bit more of the same. They've kind of tagged on a bunch of like more legacy characters as they went along. Seems to be going along that line again, kind of expanding the cast. It's a huge cast and yeah, quite entertaining at times, but very melodramatic, and it's coming to Netflix also on September 9th. But Lachlan, let's head over to our first trailer that between the two of us, I think it's better if you introduce that one for Wednesday.
Why is it better that I introduce it, Ewan?
Because I think I don't know if it was on air in the episode, but when we talked about X and Jenny Ortega and the stuff that she's doing in the future, and we're both quite excited for her as an actress, you mentioned her playing Wednesday Addams and you being a fan of that. So, and I've never seen anything from the Addams family. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of cultural blind spot.
I guess there was
me.
a mixture. When I watched X and Jenna Ortega was in that film, quite interested because she did a wicked job just for a small role. I immediately got interested to see what she was doing, and I noticed that there was a Wednesday Addams series coming up. More importantly, it was obviously from the mind of Tim Burton, which I'm a big fan of Tim Burton's work. I think it's quite a interesting lineup of films that he has, especially when it's not just him directing or doing the majority of the creative stuff, but even A Nightmare Before Christmas is, Tim Burton's inspiration. It's Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas, not actual Tim Burton's.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So immediately Tim Burton's style really works well with the Addams family, and Jenna Ortega has this really the look of Wednesday Addams down packed immediately. She just has that. It works. It just looks exactly like Wednesday Addams has always looked like. So I'm quite excited, especially if it's more on the adult side, a bit more grown up Wednesday Addams instead of like the kids variation of the Addams family. Because that dark side of I guess comedy, which is kind of what the Addams family is, it's very dark-ish comedy, can be quite fun and quite exciting. So, no, I'm excited to see what they do, because the trailer looked like it had a really interesting story behind it.
I agree. And I mean, I've never seen anything from the Addams family, but just her presence in that final moment where she's glancing at camera, it worked really well. I was kind of intrigued, and it took me for a bit of a spin because, again, I don't have any connection to that character and how ruthless and unapologetic, I guess, brutal, vicious her character is. That's can be interesting if it's not like spun in a very like melodramatic, I'm just a teenage angsty character, but it seems like it's handling all the fun aspects of that quite well. So I'm quite keen for that, and that's heading to Netflix later this fall. And then next up, we got the new movie from the Oscar-winning Green Book director Peter Farrelly with the greatest beer run ever, starring Zac Efron, Russell Crowe, Bill Murray, And yeah, it's about the greatest beer run ever, Lachlan. So what did you make of that trailer?
It does look like the greatest beer run ever. I'm not gonna lie. It seems
Yeah.
quite hardcore. I'm very excited. Funnily enough,
Mm-hmm.
Zac Efron's recent stuff has been very interesting. He seems
Mm-hmm.
to be going on this interesting path with what films he is doing. And then when Russell Crowe showed up, I was like, oh, this is even more exciting. So it
Yeah.
does seem like a very fun film, a very light-hearted film that's going to have a lot of dark moments to it, and that's going to hit really hard.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is it's going to be on Apple TV, so it's going to be one of
Mhm.
the best looking films probably because I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know how much we've discussed it, but Apple TV
That's the
streaming
yeah. We've talked
is
about it before.
the
It is
best
very
looking
crisp.
streaming
Mhm.
anywhere. I don't know. Everyone needs to take what Apple TV is doing and use that. I don't care if it's going to make my internet bill go up. I like how clean Apple TV streams look. So
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to look absolutely brilliant. The trailer is a long trailer. I'm not going to lie. I feel like it should have been a little bit shorter because it does tell a lot. Oh, and Bill Murray. I'm in. Bill Murray.
Mhm.
Sign me up. Maybe we should do the greatest beer run ever. And
Dude, oh my god, yeah, do a
I
better
walked to
movie of
Switzerland.
this and you come over here, yeah. It's the modern day Vietnam. Yeah, it sounds like it has a lighthearted premise and then tries to punch some, emotional moments in there. Similar to, I guess, with other films that director's done before. I just, for me, he's like really because he did Green Book, and I think Green Book is such a pandering piece of media that obviously was trying to go for something very specific that it achieved, but to me it was just like such a gatekeeper for better films, and I can just kind of see this be a really crowd pleaser, and we know I don't like when people are happy. I want everyone to be miserable, so don't enjoy this film. It's like definitely like the furthest away from something that could be for me, because I like my war stories to be grim and dark and depressing, and this seems like it's kind of hopeful, so obvious turn off for me.
Ewan doesn't like to be happy.
I do not. Why do you think I just watched 5 Predator movies back to back without sleeping? It's
Yeah,
6
it's
a.m.
true.
right now. No, I was about to do a segue, and now that I've kind of started the segue, I kind of have to follow through on doing that segue, although it's bad. But if I continue going with this for too much longer, I'll probably end up seeing one of God's creatures, but not one of the good ones. And that's the new A24 film that I'm really looking forward to, because in comparison to the greatest beer run ever, I think this could not be more for me. It seems like it's a really nuanced drama starring Emily Watson and Paul Mescal, who are both incredible actors. It's this drama that's grounded within the really deep relationships that I guess like a relationship that gets kind of morphed because of their perception that someone has because you don't really know who someone is. That mother son relationship gets becomes maybe a fraud in a sense. But no, Lachlan, what did you make of the trailer for God's Creatures?
Well, yeah, I agree. It's so far up your alley that I didn't want to watch it.
We're doing a great job as of lately to be contrarian to each other, and then whenever we do a main review, we apparently have the same opinion. So it never kind of sticks through, but at least in the trailers, we really disagree.
No, I thought it was interesting. I do enjoy this kind of dynamic about how far can a mother's love go, and I think that's a very interesting concept. I very much like to see how it is portrayed in this film. Again, very exciting what A24 is putting up, because they'll put out bodies, and it's like this teenaged horror where it's just a bunch of kids wanting to kill each other, and then they're going to put out a very thought-provoking piece like this back to back. A24 has got a very unique lineup of films, and is probably what's most exciting about them as a company, because I don't think there's a lot of people who I would say 10 years ago were going, yeah man, I really love Paramount Pictures as a film company, or I love Warner Brothers, I think they make the best movies. A24 has done something very unique in the film space. And I know we're getting off topic here from what God's Creatures is, but A24 is uniquely itself. Like, it sells itself as a
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you brought up 10 years, and I think just 2 weeks ago they turned 10, so it's a really young company as well. And something that I find myself really when you said they're selling themselves, when you go to their shop, they do have a shop, and I kind of visit that every week, put a bunch of stuff in my basket, and then realize that I don't have the money to pay for all of the stuff that I want. But they got like a great library of extra content just to also kind of live in that, like to celebrate their movies as well. It's a really
Yeah.
easy thing to do with them, just because they are really like we always try to emphasize on that they're pushing especially independent cinema forward, and as they get bigger but still focus on, I guess, quality, you'll just get like a lot of variety because they have the money to do a whole bunch of productions. They've had so many movies this year that are really notable.
Mm.
So we are always fanboys of A24, but both The Greatest Beer Run Ever and God's Creatures are releasing on September 30th, so they go up against each other, I guess, one in theaters and one on Apple TV Plus. That wraps it up for the trailers this week, so let's get to what we've been watching. Do you want to kick it off, or should I go first?
I'll go first because I don't really have much to talk about. Other than watching all of the Predator movies, I'm talking all of
Yeah.
them. Only one thing I want to comment on is the other thing that I've been watching, and I've been watching this over the past couple weeks, and I don't think I've talked about it that much. It's the animated series The Clone Wars. Now, I started watching this after Kenobi aired, and I'm gonna be watching it for a little bit longer because I'm up to season 5. I've just started season 5. And there's
Mhm.
about 20 episodes per season, and I'm not watching it like religiously every day. It's just that when I have a couple of minutes, like 20, 30 minutes, I'll watch an episode here and there. So I've been watching it for probably like a couple months now.
Yeah.
My God, does season 1 to 3 drag in a way when you compare it to the rest of the seasons? Because halfway through season 3, there is just something that snaps in this
Mhm.
show, and it just becomes a whole new thing. And season 4 was incredible, and I was amazed, and I was baffled by how all of a sudden not just the technical, every part of the show just became better. The
Mhm.
character designs, the animation, the world itself, they're just sort of expanding it way more, and it just became this whole new level of animation. So I've heard insane things about the last couple seasons, specifically season 7. Obviously, it took place a few years after the original or the final 6th season debuted. So I'm very keen to get through this show, especially because I'm currently on this Star Wars binge. I kind of want to go and watch. I can't wait to watch Andor now, but I also
Yeah.
kind of want to go back and watch the original series and the prequels, and eventually I'll watch the sequels. I kind of want to go back and watch all of the Star Warses and all of the spin-offs and everything. So I'm currently into my Star Wars shit right now, man. Star Wars is sick.
Big old Star Wars moment again. I got my blue milk. Season 7 is like 6 years apart from season 6, so they
I'm pretty sure it was cancelled and then they eventually brought it back.
Right, okay. But yeah, interesting. I mean, I never watched any of it, but I just heard that it's it still has a lot of influence over current Star Wars, because a lot of people reference, I guess, characters that pop up from here or want them to cross over into the live action, like Ahsoka and other characters. So glad to see you on another binge. I mean, I can relate. Finally, you're watching about as many movies as I do. But yeah, I caught the first episode of She-Hulk that is now publicly available, and yeah, Lachlan, it's an interesting show with how they address the fourth wall break, and it's certainly the first series from the MCU that focuses a bit more on the humor. If that humor works for you or not, I guess to each their own. I don't think it's like too much of the typical MCU humor. It's certainly in there, but it also has its own spice a bit. The only thing that really didn't work in this first episode so far is it's a pity that they only released the first one. I think they should have gone with at least two, because there's like a big jump at the end where it really feels like two things shouldn't go together, but they come back to back straight away, and they do a post-credit scene. It's really odd in a series. So yeah, so far I think it's kind of decent, but this is a show that now is getting 9 episodes compared to a lot of the other shows that only got 6. So we'll have to see, maybe having a bit more. And Andor, like you just said, with Star Wars, is getting 12 episodes. So,
12.
Yeah,
Wow.
12. And then I also caught BJ Novak's directorial debut, Vengeance, about a podcaster, I guess a writer for the New York Times, for the New Yorker. And he basically gets called up. It's like, hey, we're down from Texas and your girlfriend just died. Can you come to a funeral? And then he gets kind of dragged into a conspiracy theory that they have about her death, and it really becomes a showcase for, I guess, that typical, you got someone on one side from the big city is more leftist, and then someone was a bit more Republican Democrat, and then finding a middle somewhere. But it has a lot of satirical things that it tries to do. I don't think it succeeds in a lot of those, but it's interesting, although it's really over dramatic at times. But I was entertained, so give that a watch if you want to. That's I think available. Yeah, it's available for on VOD now. And then I don't know why I did this, because I did have better things to watch, but I just saw that Purple Hearts was in its second week more popular than The Gray Man. I was like, oh, that's a bit depressing. Just after Netflix spent 200 million on The Gray Man, and then some rom-com war drama takes over. But I mean, I get the appeal for Purple Hearts. It does a lot of things. It's about addiction. It's about a bunch of, I guess, social commentary and critiques towards the government and healthcare, and it is very melodramatic and cliched, and doesn't do anything interesting with those subjects, but at least it has those subjects, so it makes it appealing for some people. I didn't think it was terrible. I think I gave it a 5 out of 10. And I watched a movie with Lily Reinhardt, I think is her name, the Riverdale actress, in a movie called Look Both Ways, which is about her hooking up with her college friend, and it basically splits into 2 stories. One of them she got pregnant, and the other one she didn't, and then it kind of goes over the next few years of how her life turns out to be. And they hold back. They don't even do like a completely different like a different look color grade for those 2, I guess, different scenarios. They hold back on that. Other than that, I think it's also just a good bit of lighthearted fun. I don't know why I was down to watch those things. Like we touched on before, I usually like to be miserable, and this was just like really lighthearted. Maybe it was just because I came off the series finale of Better Call Saul, and I can now easily say this is in my top 5 all-time favorite shows. I got a couple of those that have a potential to land there that are still ongoing. Mentioning Succession here, Barry, amazing shows. But Better Call Saul has kind of wrapped a neat little bow on the entire Breaking Bad franchise that's been, I think, now ongoing for like well over a decade, but I think like 15 years now or something like that. And it really ends in a way over those last few episodes where it's taking like a slower approach onto things, and it's really the perfect ending for a show that has had such a slow burn for a lot of seasons, and has kind of ramped up in the last few with a bit more action and more dangerous people coming in. But it also is a show that really deals with the repercussions and the things you do to people, and it does that in a super mature way, where I think Breaking Bad has had the freedom to go a bit more wild, because we are seeing someone breaking bad, and Jimmy and Saul is a character that's a bit more toned down, or I guess just putting on a performance. And overall, I think it's also a great lawyer show, better than She-Hulk so far. But yeah, an amazing finale, an amazing show, and yeah, a perfect time to go catch up with it now on Netflix. You get like everything. You get El Camino, you get Breaking Bad, and you get Better Call Saul. So a really perfect ending to an incredible show. Yeah, but that's it for what I've been watching and what we've been watching. So Lachlan, let's head on over to our review of Prey.
Prey.
On the Great Plains in 1719, Nauru, a fierce and highly skilled Comanche warrior, sets out to protect her people when an unknown danger threatens them. But the prey she's stalking turns out to be a highly evolved alien predator with a technically advanced arsenal. That's Prey from Dan Trachtenberg. I said it in a German way again. The director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, and he also did one of the Black Mirror episodes playtest. Prey has been received quite positively so far. It has been the most streamed Hulu film of all time. I guess in the States where it's playing, and then also over on Stars on Disney Plus, it seemingly is breaking all the records over there as well. So one questions why this did not land in theaters, but maybe we get to touch on that later on. Ratings so far have been raving, a 3.7 on Letterboxd, 7.2 on IMDb, and a 71 on Metacritic. So I feel like critics and the audience are in agreement towards this film really being a great quality product and coming in with a runtime of 100 minutes. It's really an easy watch with this action-filled film that with a $86 million budget didn't break any of the books over at 20th Century. I guess this is like, that's where it now gets complicated with the spillover and all of the licensing, because one of the reasons why this movie might not have gotten a theatrical release is that when films under the umbrella of like all of the Predator films have been Fox and now 20th Century have been released, there was a deal that I think is about to expire, that these films would head first over onto HBO Max, and with a non-theatrical release, I think Disney can kind of circumvent that split for a bunch of films like The Kingsman or Murder on the Orient Express. No, that's the sequel to that, not Murder on the Orient Express. The one that's Death on the Nile. Yes, exactly. There they were kind of pushing the release date for maybe a bunch of other reasons, but also maybe not to split the revenue, compared to something like Artemis Fowl, which they released, but also was quite a foul film. So I don't know if they even would have wanted a theatrical release. But I think it just gets all muddled into the same thing, where these streaming wars have made everything so much more complicated when you try to have the supremacy over what's available to your viewers, and that kind of exclusivity window has become more and more important. Nonetheless, if you got like Lachlan and Dolby Atmos surround bar or whatever you got over there, yeah, when you got that rocking on a 4K TV, it's no Apple TV Plus, so the streaming isn't like the most pristine. I always like to shit on Disney Plus's UI because it's really, really terrible. But the streaming is quite decent. It looks amazing. I would have loved to see it on the big screen, Lachlan. You probably agree with me there, right?
100%.
And it certainly is a spectacle even on the small screen.
I think it's a bit of a disappointment that it's not in cinemas. Like, I really do think it is. I think that
Yeah.
this is a perfect popcorn muncher, but also a great film. You can have it both ways. You can take your friend on a date and go enjoy this film, and you can go with your family and go enjoy it. I mean, probably not your whole family, but you can go like with, it's like with your mum and dad, go watch this film. Like it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they only released this on streaming, I should say. The cinematic side of this film is incredible.
Yes. I mean, it's crazy that it still cost a bunch of money. So, when you put something on streaming, it's always hard to say if you're making a return on it. But I think the easier return would just be to put it into theaters. And additionally, it is always the window that you could have open. That's why a lot of people it's not like, they're speculating. It's not something that's Disney has said, yeah, we're doing this to not split the revenue, but it probably is because of that. And that's just kind of an ongoing theme. We just talked about it in the news that HBO, or I guess Warner Discovery, is cutting back, like getting rid of their original films and series just because they don't want to pay residuals out for like ongoing as that remains on there, which is such a weird move. But I guess it's not something new, so it doesn't drive new people to the service. So it's like, the fat that you can cut off that you don't need. And it's such a ruthless business deal, business focused side of it, which like the movie business has always been that. You can't get rid of that when you want a $200 million, or like even at this point there's movies that cost $350 million. If you want like that scale, you also have to have the business side is really important as well. But for these smaller productions, I went through the list. It's nothing big. It's nothing I've ever heard of for the stuff that they're getting rid of. So it just feels like, why are you doing that? It just feels like rude. And the same goes for this here. It feels like a bit disrespectful to the filmmakers here, who clearly did something that would deserve a theatrical exhibition, and it's not getting that. So yeah, it certainly is very disappointing. I agree with you there. But Lachlan, do you want to jump into spoilers and talk specifically?
Let's do it before my voice leaves my body.
Spoiler warning here for Prey. You have been warned. And I think to kick off our spoiler discussion, let's talk about why Prey works so well. What makes this movie work?
Because it's the original Predator, but in a different period. It's nothing.
Yes.
It's not doing anything fancy. It's not trying to set up a multiverse. It's not trying to create a spin-off of a sequel of a sequel. It's not trying to expand the Predator lore. It's just doing the foundation of what made Predator. And I guess at the same time, what makes Predator 2 enjoyable and what makes Predators enjoyable. And at some point makes the Predator enjoyable. It's the hunting part. It's the part where Predator is hunting down the team, or it's a 1v1. It's that aspect of it. I think as well, when it comes down to this particular film, the care that has been taken into consideration, especially with the fact that they could have just gone full CG, they stuck to their guts and did a practical suit, which looks incredible. And every bit of care from the suit down to the detail in the costuming, the actors, everything has had the tender loving care put into it. And that is what's enjoyable about this film, is that it's a love letter to the original Predator, essentially.
Yeah, agreed. I think it really stands out in its simplicity of not trying to expand on anything, which, coming off just watching all of the other Predator films, it's crazy how many of them end with a cliffhanger. Even the ones that I would say are rather successful at doing the Predator thing, they still insist on continuing that story and at franchising. And I think that Trachtenberg also coming in with 10 Cloverfield Lane, taking a franchise IP and just doing it more isolated and focusing on the characters, but then also, here delivering on some really solid action. He just nails what Predator makes so great, which in the original Predator we get a lot more characters, and it's more about the group dynamic as they each get killed off one by one with the final standoff. And we get that here as well, but it's way more focused on a singular character and her like drive. So whenever we get to go along with her and kind of her evolution, because she's not like, this big hulky dude like Schwarzenegger is. So it's
Or
it's
Johnny
a
Glover.
or well, I don't know. I don't know about Danny Glover. I don't know how big he is in that movie.
Or
Like if you
Adrian
compare
Brody.
them, you're getting smaller by each of them. What's next? Are you talking about the kid in the Predator?
Yep.
Let's fight the Predator with autism. Yes, that will kill him. No, it's dude, some of those sequels are bizarre, and I don't want to have them spill over in this review because it would taint it. Because this movie does a lot of things really well. But is there something that stands out to you? A favorite moment, a favorite scene, a favorite kill?
Favorite moment, favorite kill. There's so many things. I really, really, really enjoyed that entire sequence of when the brother and main character are tied up, and Predator comes in and just annihilates, and it's just kill after kill after kill, and that's really fun kills. That whole sequence is really good. But
Yes.
I guess for me, my favorite moment of Prey was probably going to come down to the stuck in the mud, because I thought that was going to come back later to be like, oh, she's going to cover herself in mud to hide the heat signature of her body, and I thought
Yeah.
that was going to come into it, and I thought that was very tense and that was very exciting when she was
Mhm.
being sucked into that quick mud or quicksand or whatever you want to call it. So I found that
Yeah.
quite exciting. But for me, my favorite moment was the Predator ripping it up with the French trappers. That was
French
really fun.
failed at retreating. They just got slaughtered.
Failed at retreating.
Yeah, I think there's like you said, there's so many moments. Agreed. I think that like whole slaughter scene is really bonkers. It goes crazy. I enjoy little moments like the one with the bear that was already kind of spoiled in the trailer, but I think it works really well in the scene itself, and as it continues, her kind of then fleeing. It's like there's some ellipses where it's just like the when there's a bit of a jump where we just kind of go to the next place, where I thought that I would have loved to see her travel a bit more around, although that's a big part of the film. But as it ramps up with more of the action, I guess we get less of that. But I just thought that the scenery and the way that they shot it was done in such a beautiful way, and I think they shot in Calgary in Canada, and it looks amazing. There's some amazing locations and some amazing shots in there. And you already brought up the, I guess, practical design of the Predator, but I also think the visualization of his I guess his hiding cloak or whatever he's got there. It looks great. Also, his vision, I think, is done in a way where it feels a bit more modern compared to some of the other Predator films, where it tries to just replicate that original one. So it goes for its own tone, its own look, and really isn't concerned with I guess like referencing because it can't, because it's set in like 1707 or whatever, other characters, or tie it in or integrate a narrative. But no, it's just this one Predator landing here, and it's hunting for prey. It's simple, but it just works. What did you make of the siblings dynamic between Naru and Dabe?
So the dynamic between them is good. It like I felt a genuine connection to both of them, and I felt that all of the actors and actresses had done an amazing job with their characters. Oh, well, rewinding a little bit because it just came to me. My favorite scene, The
Yeah.
one where she's tied up with all of the other hunters and the predators coming after her. That was
On the tree?
coolest scene on the tree. That was
I
the
was
best.
okay. I was
That
letting
so
you.
good.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was about to say, oh, I forgot about that moment. That was actually so sick. I agree. That was
That's
great
what it is.
moment.
Okay, that was dope.
Yeah.
So there is this dynamic between the sister and brother, and it's probably the main relationship that you have in this film.
Yeah.
And they don't really hold on to it for that long, because spoiler alert, he sacrifices himself. And this is one of the things that I didn't enjoy about the film.
Why? Because they cut away. You wanted to see
No,
his dead
well,
corpse.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I was a
right?
bit
They cut away
disappointed.
at the best moment. His death is so quickly discarded and forgotten about that it
Yeah.
doesn't really have an impact. And that's an unfortunate thing because you're building up this relationship between these siblings. It should have some kind of impact on her. And as well, I guess it was the mum back at home, essentially, that
Yeah.
she just looks sad and then she breaks down and then that's all you get. Like, it's 30 seconds of grieving
Yeah.
and that's it.
I think it's more on her bringing the predator head in, and I found that a bit odd, but I guess it just showcases how important it is to bring that skull, bring your, I guess, first kill here, but it feels odd coming off pretty much literally every hunter of their tribe being killed. It feels a bit more solemn, even though she did get to kill him, what it means ultimately for their tribe.
The big thing is obviously each person of this tribe to prove themselves brings back a trophy. And,
Yeah.
That works quite well in the idea that it's a predator. Predators also hunt for trophies.
Yes,
so
exactly.
the fact that she picks the predator as... And by the way, I know they're not called the predators because
they're
I know
hunters,
the lore.
predators technically.
Yeah, I know
for-
you're doing the joke from the
Oh
predator,
my God,
and I fucking hate
yes.
you because of that. But
Yeah.
like, I know they've got like their own name. Like how in Alien they're not called aliens, they're xenomorphs, but I just don't know the name of the predator off the top of my head, so I'm really mad at myself. Oh my god, what am I doing? Hang on. Alright. There we go. That shows you I've got the AVP Alien and Predator
Box
Blu-ray collection. I got this like
Yeah.
9 years ago. This is
Right.
not the whole collection of now because there's the Predator, but it has everything up to Predators and
Predators.
Prometheus as well. So I've got everything in there. So it's everything, all 9 of them before they all kicked off. So I know the lore. I just don't know off the top of my head. I'm a real fan.
As in, compared to me, a fake fan who saw
Fake fan.
all of the films.
Who only watches
I haven't
A24
seen it
films.
8 hours ago. I really just binged them all. But yeah, I think the central theme of the film is really on Naru and her having to prove herself in a way. It's obvious that there's that type of female proves herself in a male dominated space type of angle to it that would be something that modern audiences gravitate more towards. But it's crazy how the initial, I guess, just loud minority, hopefully, of people were clashing against this film in a sense where like they were like, oh, this is such a left wing or whatever, like such a woke film that's trying to be woke or whatever. I think it's just like a really central drive of someone coming of age, proving themselves, and I guess it is rooted in gender norms, but I still found her journey really compelling. But what did you make of the logic that kind of goes through a lot of the Predator films of where they don't attack something that they, I guess, don't deem a threat, because it becomes an integral part of when you're attacked and when you're not.
I have always loved that aspect to the
Predator
films,
kind of
and I
sexist,
think
low key, right?
no, it's not sexist. He just doesn't attack anyone who doesn't deem as a threat. And
Yeah.
let's look at the original Predator. Okay, let's go back to the original film.
Well,
for a
yeah,
second
no,
here,
but
okay?
that is obvious.
That one's obvious.
Yes, they all got guns and stuff, and here they, I guess, got more primitive weapons.
They've all got guns and stuff.
You got Yeah, and then you got, I guess, her brother being like this really crazy good warrior and hunter, and her not being like that good at it, but see, she still got weapons and I think is fighting the predator, but still he's just kind of ignoring her for a lot of it. And for me, it was kind of the towing the line of the believability of, okay, we're just waiting for this moment for her until it happens. But like some other Predator films went down the route of when they see someone kill, I think someone of their own, they respect them in a way where they don't kill them. So there's like a lot of the lore that gets explored of what is the norm in predator society, and I think it becomes really convoluted fast of what the rules is, and it's got a lot of like main protagonist energy where you kind of safe. Although I think like the end fight with her, apart from the, I guess, final kill, which I was a bit confused by what exactly was happening, that whole lead up of them like going at it in basically hand-to-hand combat was sick. It really was some greatly directed stunt performance there.
Well, I think if we're going to praise it so much, we should also talk about some of the negatives.
Yes.
And I've obviously already brought one up, and that was the death of the brother. But there is one more. It's that close-up of the predator's face.
I don't even remember that.
The CGI.
And no one said, "Oh, you are one ugly motherfucker."
There was the CGI close-up of the predator's face. Now I'm pretty sure it was CGI. I'm 85% sure it was CGI. And why?
Oh, you mean at the ending bit, right before he dies? When we see his face, or when
there's an earlier part.
I guess it didn't stick out to me as something negative. What would
Cowards.
you prefer to see? To not
Cowards.
see him for a while, or
No, I would have rather
practical?
a practical face.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Why could
In
all
most
that work?
cases, I think at this stage in modern production, a lot of it, even if it is practical, I think is a blend between, or a hybrid between that. But sometimes a lot of productions go full CG, and it's hard to generalize, I guess, because it's situation based. But I guess in this case, more practical maybe would have left a better impression. But apart from, I guess, maybe some like, you know, it sometimes not making complete logic, which I really don't care in these Predator films, because they nail the action, and I think that just being hunted down for no reason other than it's just this imposing creature that's hunting you down. It's like not as terrifying as when it happens in like Alien, and the creature design, I guess, is it's crazy that there are these matchups between these franchises, because they both got like such a terrifying creature design when you look really closely at these characters, and it's such a showcase for great costume, and I don't even know what that would be. Would that be makeup? I don't know, but just I guess that character creation is great. It's great in the first one, and it continues to be. I think that's like one of the strong points throughout all of the Predator films. How bad they get, I guess. Showing the Predator usually worked quite well for me. Looking into the future for this franchise, what do you want to see from Predator, or do you even want to see more?
Well, I saw a great post on social media a few days ago that was the Prey should be a foundation of the next generation of horror films, where they get a specific horror icon and they go back to a different time period. So there was like one that had open Pandora's box from Hellraiser in like 16th century Greek, ancient Greece or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, have Freddy Krueger be terrorizing the, sailors on a ship or something like that. The idea that Predator, but back at this time, is a great idea.
I'm just imagining him as a mermaid now, as a siren, like calling for them, and as they get closer, he's just like scratches them with his hands, with his scissor hands. Final Destination could have been the leader of this like trend, because in 2014 or something, they announced that they're doing one that's set in medieval times, and I don't know where they've been all these years, but there hasn't been a sequel since the fifth one. Final Destination is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, so I'm kind of bummed that we are not getting more films out of that franchise, but that's one that like it would work perfectly for, because they're just loosely connected, and I think Predator also would work great in different time periods. Just like having them go up a bit. I mean, imagine a Predator style movie within the Northman universe. I mean, that would be crazy. Or you could go
I'd watch that.
like, you know, a bunch of mashups, like Everything Everywhere All at Once with the Predator.
Jesus.
A bunch of stuff in different time periods, I think would be interesting, and I like that for horror films. I think one-off horror films that don't try to tie into like not the requels, right? Those things I think are getting outplayed. They're gonna be outplayed in a couple of years. So if we go into a different route, then yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But Lachlan, where do you arrive at as a rating for Prey?
All right, this is going to be a bit of a shocker to some people. I think people
Yeah.
are going to have some mixed feelings about me and my rating of Prey. But Ewan, I gave Prey a 4.5 out of 5.
What's, for comparison's sake, what's your rating on the original Predator movie?
4.5 out of 5.
Interesting. Well, Lachlan, don't tell us now which one you prefer. For that, I guess you'll have to tune in to our bracket video that's coming later this week,
Yep.
where we'll duke it out about the best Predator film made. For me, I think this is a really solid film as well. I gave it a 4 out of 5, also tying it with the initial Predator, which I also gave a 4 out of 5. So I also won't tell you which my favorite Predator film is, but yeah, that brings us to the end of our review for Prey. This week, the releases: the new George Miller film 3,000 Years of Longing, that releases in theaters on August 26th. Just a note to the Swiss listeners, that's coming to our theaters on September 8th, so you'll have to wait a couple more weeks. And then a shout out to the Swiss releases again, because I just like to give you a bit of like a special treatment, you know. We're getting Beast a week later than the US release, and then also a Swiss film that I want to shout out, Semret. I just did an interview with the director earlier today. That should be out by the time this episode releases, so go give that a watch. It's an interview in German, but I did subtitle it with English subs, so go give that a listen. Maybe something to keep on the lookout. A really good Swiss film that worked well. That's it for the new releases this week. Now, Lachlan, do you have a pick of the week?
I do have a pick of the week.
Yeah,
I do have a pick of the week, Ewan.
you do have a pick of the week.
Except I don't remember what it was, so I've got to pull up the show notes.
Well, I know what it was. I can see it now, and I wanted to act surprised and pleased, but now all I can do is
do you like
fake
this
it.
one? Do you like this one?
I want to
interesting
watch
one.
this. Look, whenever this film is in the talks, I want to stop what I'm doing and go watch it. And yeah, I don't do it too
You've seen it, right?
often enough. I've seen it. I've seen it a couple times.
Okay, good.
I love it.
Princess Mononoke, because
Yes.
the dog, what's her name, Naru, and I guess the world of this just gave me the mood to watch Princess Mononoke. So
Yeah.
that is my pick. I'm not gonna go get this steelbook. Princess Mononoke.
You do have the steelbook. Yeah, I don't have that. That's what I'm missing. I am just watching the simple Netflix version of it. By the way, a lot of the Studio Ghibli library is available on Netflix. If you're gonna want to give that a watch, really worth the shout out. I don't know where my movie is playing. I guess, yeah, no, it definitely should be, because it's 20th century. It should be on Disney, but I'm continuing on what Lachlan has set up last week when he went with Alien. I'm putting that $sign just like James Cameron at the end of it, and I'm recommending you go see Aliens. Great continuation to, I guess, be in that merged franchise of Predator and Alien, and a film that I think is in both of our, I'd say it's at least in my top 20 of all time. Really, a really solid film overall. But that wraps it up for today's show. Next week, we'll take a look at Beast, the Idris Elba-led tiger fighting, I guess, beast drama. I don't know. It's crazy that we've had a week of Nope that had a focus, on a creature-like thing. And then we have this, and then next week we also got Beast. So it's a bit of the same themes being repeated, just in different settings. If you want to catch more of us, Lachlan and my socials are linked below. Same goes for the Quiet on Set podcast. There's a link tree that will take you to everything Quiet on Set, TikTok, Instagram, my YouTube channel. There's a bunch of stuff on there. You can also find a Letterboxd HQ account over there. And also don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Quiet on Set is powered by Cineman and hosted by myself, Ewan Gruff, and Lachlan Thiele. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.